is My Love Affair, Annette McCullough.
My love affair. Now, I should tell you that we're friends now, so I can share some of these things with you. And this has been a very big part of my life. It began quite innocently, as most great love affairs do. In fact, it was Alaska, a long time ago, land of the midnight sun. It was a little southeast of Nome, and I was a young thing at the time. In fact, I was so young that I was about that high. Very, very young. The object of my affection came into my life quite subtly, actually. It was summer in Alaska, and summer in Alaska is truly the land of the midnight sun. You can play all day and play all night. You can play, in fact, until you just go to sleep. And since I was quite young, that happened quite a bit. We lived a long ways away from anywhere. It was about 20 miles to our closest neighbor. The village was much farther, so there wasn't much for my mother to do except plant a garden. Now, at the age of just under 2, playing in the dirt was wonderful fun. And so we did. I have a picture of myself with the product of that playing. It was a squash that went from my head down to below my knees. Now, keep in mind, of course, that I was only this tall. And so began my love affair with squash. You see, it started because I was so excited look at what I had created. I played in the dirt, and voila, here's this big thing. It was wonderful. Now, as time goes on, and most love affairs kind of wane and sometimes build up in enthusiasm, it was later in life, about the time I moved into my very first home of my own that I bought, and I planted a garden. And that garden resulted in squash, much like you see here. I had such an abundance of squash that at the time I worked for SeaWorld, and I handled all the squash needs, wants, and desires for an entire wing of SeaWorld. Wow. That was when I learned that you could do more things with squash than just steam it and serve it as a side dish. I discovered that squash could be the centerpiece. You could stuff it, you could saute it, you could do all kinds of wonderful things with squash that I didn't know about. Now, over the years, I have used many excuses and justifications for my love affair. Well, I just wanted something to do. It just felt so good. Now, the last excuse that I used was, well, my children should see how plants really came to be. Where did they come from? And how did they? They, of course, wanted nothing to do with it. But I decided it was time. So I planted, well, there was this yard and there was dirt and it needed something, so I just planted. Now, in my current house, we have a compost pile that I have been putting food scraps in and cuttings from the grass for, well, quite a while now, about 13 years. And, you add water and you stir it a little bit. I just dump stuff on it. But when it came time to plant this garden, I called my son and I said, honey, I need you to just mix it up a bit. So he did. He mixed it up with a little dirt, a little water, and voila, this is the result. Wow. Now, I must tell you that this one is in fact not the largest one. The largest one we've already eaten. So this is just a medium-sized one. The leaves on the squash plant literally go to here. They are just taking over the yard. The cantaloupe, which is competing with the squash, has taken over, and it just goes on and on and on and on. You would think Jack and the Beanstalk had been there. It is absolutely amazing. I discovered different varieties of squash. This particular one is absolutely lovely. And in my course of this love affair, I had to find other things to do with the squash. And I discovered bread some time ago, and one can make many different kinds of zucchini bread. There's the breakfast variety, there's the dessert variety, which is totally sinful. There are many things. This time around, I discovered zucchini pancakes. Now, I had heard about potato pancakes, but never did I imagine zucchini pancakes. You know, I am famous for my tacos, and I actually made zucchini tacos, and they were great. They weren't quite as good as my regular tacos, but they were very good. So my love affair with squash continues. Where it will lead me, I don't know. But I can say that it has been a pleasure over the years to come back and visit zucchini. I have plenty to share. I did bring a knife and some plates, so afterwards, if you'd like to sample some of the bread, you're welcome to. Mr. Toastmaster.
Oh.
Right.